All right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown on how to properly put on a wrist strap or a wrist strap. I see a lot of people do it wrong, and they usually put it at the base of the wrist, which causes them to have too much flexion in their wrist, and it causes that bar to shorten that distance between the shoulder and the hand, and actually pushes back that hand like this. So I'm gonna show you how to do it properly with keeping the wrist stiff and in a neutral position, so that you could punch actually with the base of the hand and like that heel part, opposed to trying to punch with that when your wrist is all flexed out like that. So there's a couple ways to do it. I'll show you the first one. So when I was back in like PT school or like athletic training school, they taught us how to properly tape someone's wrist. So the first thing you want to do is actually spread the fingers, and then from your pinky and your thumb, try to spread that as much as possible. This is going to ensure that you don't put the wrist wrap too tight, because if you ball it up in a fist and then wrist wrap like this, it's going to be the tightest it possibly can. It's going to squeeze that fist down, so you won't be able to actually open up your hand as much. So one of the ways to do it, if you have a loop, is to go like this and then spread your fingers out as much as you can. Okay? So then when you do that, you come across the hand. So like this. All right, so pull across the hand, and then so what you want to do is you want to go, that's why they put this line right here. You want to do this blue line, or my blue line, on where the wrist joint actually is. So I want to align that line with my wrist, so the top part of that black part will be on the top, like the bottom part of my hand right here. So when I wrap it, I'm gonna align it like that, and then I'm gonna pull across that thumb joint. So then when I pull across this thumb joint right here, it's actually gonna support my thumb and pull it down into like a punching position. So it's gonna help me actually grip the bar a lot better. So here, pull over the thumb joint, and then you're just gonna loop it once right back over it. So it usually has some slack, but then you're just gonna make a slight, maybe a couple inches back down on that wrist, and then you're just gonna stack it. And then once you get to this point, I actually just like to come straight across and then create a more casting-like look to the wrist wrap. So now you can look. So like most of the time is that this part of the wrap is still on the bottom part of the hand. In competition, you're not allowed to have this loop on your finger for squats or bench press. So when you do it like this, you have to pull that out and then push it back in if you're competing. All right, so another easier way though, if you have a wrap that has a loop at the end, just put it in the hole. So this is actually the way I do it right now, because it's a lot easier. And some people I see actually that will grab that part of the wrap with their fingers, and I don't like to do it that way, because like I said, you want to spread your fingers because it flexes out that wrist, and so it makes it so it's not too tight, but it's tight enough for whatever action you're doing. So looping that hole, same thing. So I'm just gonna line it with that blue line, or the mid part of that where my wrist joint is, so it can support above and below it. So that's my baseline wrap. And then I'll do the same exact thing, come right over that thumb joint, and then I'll take it down about 1 or 2 inches, and then I'll actually pull back up and then stack the wrist. So again, you see how like that part's on the bottom part of the hand, so that now I can't really flex my wrist back. So if I'm actually gonna be locking out the weight, it's gonna be sitting on that mid part of the heel of the hand. I don't like to do it like the way that I said, like to pull your fingers like this. I used to when I first started, but I noticed that my hands would get too tight and I'd lose a lot of feeling in my hands. So this is actually that I can still have mobility in my hand, the blood flow still going, but I'm not gonna cut off the circulation. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to cut off circulation, just to support the wrist joint enough so I can actually keep my wrist straight in the pressing.